So, greetings to everyone. I'll chant prayer in the beginning. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Veshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpathe Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yantah Pravishya Mama Vachimamam Prasuptam Sanjeevayata Kila Shakti Darak Svadam Nanyamscha Hasta Charana Shravanat Vagadim Pranannamo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam. So again, greetings to everyone. I'm very happy to be back to Kochi. And the exact title of our informal talk tonight is Dharma, the Ancient Wisdom in the Age of Artificial Intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a modern buzzword, and Dharma is an ancient buzzword. So, how to combine these two concepts and to see what is the meaning behind these two concepts, we'll talk a little bit tonight. Basically, these two concepts, if we take the concept of artificial intelligence and the concept of Dharma, they reveal two completely different, opposite approaches to life. The modern approach to life, and artificial intelligence is the epitome of the modern approach to life, is that let's improve the nature. Whatever human beings are doing, they're trying to improve the nature. They think that they know better. And ultimately, because the intelligence is the most important part of our nature or our dealings, they invented, or we invented, the artificial intelligence, which is supposed to improve the natural intelligence. Of course, I saw a joke in the internet about artificial intelligence that no artificial intelligence match with natural stupidity. So, in any case, this is a very important approach to life, and we all enjoy the benefits of this approach to life. We are always constantly trying to improve something, to improve the nature. The molecular biologist, and I am not microbiologist, I'm molecular biologist, they're trying to improve different plants or even human beings to a certain extent through genetic engineering process. They see that there are some imperfections in the existing species of life, and through the manipulations with the genes, they're trying to improve this. And of course, the ultimate idea and the ultimate perfection which they pursue in this path is to improve the nature of human beings by genetically engineering the perfect human beings. They will take all the faulty versions of your genes and insert the perfect versions of the same genes, and here you are, you will have perfect children. who will be perfectly mischievous and disobedient. But in any case, that's just an example of how people are trying to improve something through the modern technologies. And then in so many other areas of life, we can see like through the chemistry, they're trying to improve the natural materials. And because of this, we have artificial fabrics like nylon and all other kinds of artificial things. The pharmacologists, they are trying to improve the natural drugs, the natural remedies, and inventing the chemical medicines, which are very powerful and efficient. And in so many other ways, people are trying to improve the nature. So to contrast this approach to life, general approach to life, philosophically incorrect approach to life, we have to compare with the ancient concept of Dharma. And the ancient concept of Dharma is 180% opposite to this approach to life. The Dharma is the attempt to understand the nature, not to improve the nature, but to really understand the nature and act in harmony with the nature. That's a completely different approach and completely different attitude towards the life. The philosophy behind the first approach is that nature is imperfect. And somehow or other, I am being the most perfect creation of this imperfect nature will definitely make it better. How is that possible? Logically, I don't know, because you are imperfect creation of the same imperfect nature. So how you, being by definition imperfect, because you already said that the nature is imperfect, and by definition you are imperfect, and being imperfect, you're still trying to bring it to perfection. But the other approach is that the nature is perfect. Whatever we have is perfect because it is the creation of the perfect intelligence behind the world. According to ancient Vedic scriptures, and not only ancient Vedic scriptures, any scriptures of the world, there is a perfect, intelligent being who created perfectly this imperfect world. This world is imperfectly perfect, or perfectly imperfect, rather, shall us say it like this. It's perfect by design and perfect by the idea behind it, but it's consciously imperfect, and we will touch a little bit about this concept in the course of our talk. But first, I wanted to compare these two approaches. And the second approach, the modern approach, is that yes, the nature is imperfect, and let's make it perfect. So again, as I said, the modern approach is illogical by nature. How the result of imperfect nature, which is human being, the result of many, many mistakes in the course of evolution, make it better. It's not possible by definition. But the other approach is perfectly logical. Yes, let's assume, yes, we see this amazingly variegated, amazingly complex, amazingly beautiful world, and it basically a very clear indication and proof that there is somebody who is even more perfect behind this, perfect intelligence behind this. And if we assume this very reasonable, very rational, very plausible assumption, if this assumption is taken as true, and it's not illogical, it's not dogmatic, it's very logical to assume that there is perfect intelligence behind this, then the job of us, the duty which we have to do, is to understand the design behind these imperfections. Yes, we all know that the world is imperfect. But if it is the creation of the perfect being, then these imperfections themselves should be perfect. They should serve the perfect purpose of the perfect creator. And Dharma is the attempt to understand the design behind this world. Not try to improve it artificially by creating all kinds of artificial things, including artificial intelligence. Because anything artificial is, by definition, less perfect than anything natural. And we have ample of proofs that anything which is artificial is actually less perfect than anything natural. If you would be given a choice to choose between the artificial food and natural food, which food would you prefer? I think there is no doubt which food you would prefer. People pay a lot of money to get natural food. And all this artificial junk is, it's everywhere in the shops, and nobody is really interested in it. As I said, the genetic engineers, they're trying to improve the natural things, but the result is less than perfect. Recently, I read a long article, and the question behind this article is that why the modern tomatoes are so tasteless, why they have no taste. It's because of the hard endeavors of all the molecular biologists and scientists. They ultimately came up with perfectly looking tomatoes, which are perfect in size, which have the same size, not this, crazy different size as they're natural, but they're totally, they have no nutrition and they're tasteless. So, and there are so many other examples which we can give. Modern medicine, yes, it's powerful, but because it's sometimes too powerful. It kills all the bacteria, which you have both bad bacteria and good bacteria, because it's supposed to kill the bacteria. And it creates so much harm because of killing, which it's not supposed to be killed. And yes, natural medicine may be less efficient, but it's definitely much safer. It definitely has less side effects, and ultimately it has more utility for human beings to sustain natural life. This word sustain is very important when we will talk about Dharma, because Dharma is something which is capable of sustaining. So, but let's talk a little bit about the artificial stuff, which are plenty around us. There are so many, as I said, artificial clothes, artificial fabrics which we have. Everyone knows it's artificial. You take this nylon, and it feels very uncomfortable and awkward. Yes, it has maybe some advantages. If you take artificial colors, yes, artificial colors are brighter than natural colors, but they're ugly. they're not so pleasant to look at. And whatever we take, whatever artificial we take, because it is the creation of, by definition, imperfect creatures, as human beings are, the creations are also imperfect. Why? There is a very important reason why. Because human beings, when they look at something, there's no doubt that it's a noble intent to improve something. But the problem is that because our intelligence is imperfect, we only see the part of reality. We never see the reality as the whole. And that's all the blunders and mistakes which human beings, that's the reason behind all the blunders and mistakes which we do. We see the problem, but we see the problem in isolation. It's very difficult for us to really see the problem in all complexities, because our intelligence is not capable of seeing the complexity. To understand the problem, we have to isolate the problem. And we're perfectly capable of solving this isolated problem. The problem with this solution is that when you solve the isolated problem, by the way, you create so many more problems because it's never isolated. It's always connected with so many other things. And because we're not capable of seeing the whole picture, because we're not capable of seeing the bigger picture, it's too complex. We have to adopt this strategy. And this strategy proved to be efficient, yes, by solving the problems. But as Albert Einstein once very aptly noticed, he said that's the definition of insanity, to think that the problem which is created on the level, or on a certain level of consciousness, on a certain level of mind, can be solved with the same level of mind. The mind created this problem. You try to solve this problem, and as a result, you create many more problems. That's what is going on. That's the snowball of problems which we have in modern society. I recently read an article why people in the beginning of 20th century, when the cars started to appear, especially in London. At that time in London, the biggest problem was too much horse dung. There were horses with all the carriages, and there were too many horses in London, and the horse dung was all over the place. And the journalists, they wrote a very exciting article. Finally, London will be free from horse dung because of these cars. Yes, it's free from horse dung, but it's full of pollution. It's full of poison. It's full of, there is a traffic jam. There are so many other problems. But yes, no horse dung anymore. There's no horse stool anymore. So this is how it works. This is the approach. We take the problem, we try to isolate the problem to be able to solve it, and we successfully solve the problem. That's the nature of human mind. But in the meantime, we lose the connections. We lose the complexity of life, and we lose the holistic approach to life. And this whole thing, this whole approach, trying to improve life, trying to improve the different aspects of our life. So there is a Kadashi, so I was not drinking the whole day. That's why my throat is a little dry. Because this approach, when we try to isolate the problem and losing the big picture, it's very strong and very typical approach of left brain. As you perhaps know, we have left brain and the right brain. And they function differently. their attention to reality is different. The left brain is trying to dissect the reality and to isolate the reality. It sees the bits and pieces of reality. And it has its utility. There is no doubt about it. This approach to life is useful in certain areas, in certain situations, no doubt about it. But we also have right brain. And the right brain, right hemisphere of our brain, has a completely different approach to life. The right hemisphere trying to see the whole, not the parts of it, not bits and pieces, trying to see the connections and the reality as a connected whole, as an interconnected whole. And there is a brilliant book, actually two books, big books written by a modern scientist, neuroscientist, who really dedicated his whole life in studying this difference between left brain and right brain. And he studied a lot of cases, peculiar cases, when people had stroke in the left brain, and when the left brain was damaged, and when people had a stroke in the right brain. And after summarizing all this amazing material which he accumulated, which the science actually accumulated, of how these two brains function differently, he came to a very significant conclusion. Please listen very carefully. He came to a conclusion that both approaches to life are important. Both approaches to life are useful, but they're completely different, the opposite. And when the right brain, which is trying to see the whole picture, the complete picture, dominates, then the left brain is very helpful as an assistant. But when the left brain takes over and dominates over the right brain, when the left brain approach to life dominates, then it creates all kinds of problems and havoc. His book, beautiful book, which is a bestseller, even though it's a scientific book, non-fiction book, there are hundreds of thousands of books sold, is called Master and His Emissary. And the idea behind this book is that the right brain is the king. It's a good master. And it has his emissary, the left brain. It's a very useful assistant to his job. But what happens, usually the ambitious assistant takes over and overthrows the real master and becomes the master himself. And he shows very systematically on the scientific material, and not only on the historical material, how when the left brain becomes dominant in our approach to life, it ruins everything. He actually says, analyzing the history of humanity, when the left brain approach would become dominant, that would mean the doom of this particular civilization. He says that usually civilization starts as a very strong right brain dominated civilization, where they see the whole and they're very creative, because right brain is creative. It has the creation. It sees the complete picture. But then, the civilization starts developing, and usually what happens, the managers will take over. They start dominating in the society. They dominate over the creators. And we have the consumer society of the modern days. And he says that's indication, a very strong indication that this particular civilization is doomed. This particular culture, which is not careful enough to guard against this temptation of being overtaken by the left brain approach to life, is doomed, because it loses a lot of important and valuable elements of our existence. Due to this attention, he also says, and it's very important, his name is Ian McGilchrist. Ian McGilchrist. He has another books subsequent to this, Master and His Emissary. The matter with things, like he says that, the left brain dominated people become materialistic. That's a very peculiar and very important characteristics of this left brain approach. And the left brain, when we see the nature from this perspective of the left brain tends to be exploitive. Left brain is an ideal tool to exploit the nature, to exploit other people, to exploit everything. So this spirit of exploitation, together with the spirit of godlessness, is a very good combination to destroy the humanity, to destroy the environment, to destroy the whole world. Very strong tendency to dominate, to exploit everything, and at the same time, no conception of higher power or the higher intelligence. In the beginning, I explained to you what is the difference between these two approaches, and you can only very clearly see, yes, left brain approach is the approach of modern science, materialistic science. Let's analyze it. Let's forget about the bigger picture. Nobody can anyway understand the complexity. Let's have all the different, tiny, narrow branches of science. Science becomes so ridiculously departmentalized. Nobody knows everything about science. Nobody knows everything about medicine. Nobody knows everything about even liver. You have specialists on the right ear and on the left ear, and if you approach the wrong specialist, it's a real story. In America, to get the consultation of a professional medical doctor, you have to wait for a very long time. So a friend of mine, he waited for a long time. He had some problems with his hearing. He ultimately got an appointment. He went to the doctor and he said, I have a problem with hearing. And the doctor said, no, your problem is with your middle ear, and I am the specialist of the external ears. I cannot help. You approached the wrong specialist. So he was so frustrated, because the science has become, it's a reality, ridiculously departmentalized. Nobody knows everything about anything, basically, or whatever they know is about very, very narrow area of knowledge. And that's exactly the left brain approach to reality. And the problem with this approach, as I said many times already, is that you're losing the complete picture. You're losing the complete picture of reality, and instead of the complete picture of reality, you get a very distorted picture of reality. Something which is exaggerated within your consciousness, and you're trying to deal with this, and inevitably you make mistakes. When you don't see the harmonious, real picture of reality, which you can only see when your right brain is working. when your right brain is in control, when your right brain is dominating your approach to life, when your right brain is there, then you see the complete picture, and it's not distorted by the incomprehensiveness or imbalances of the left brain approach. You see the reality. You can see that, you can foresee. Actually, that's one of the very strong qualities or characteristics of the right brain, is that the ability to foresee the consequences of my actions. The left brain is very short-sighted. It solves the problem, and then no problem, he will solve another problem which he created by solving this problem. No problem, so many problems can be solved. And that's a vicious circle which is going on of this race of trying to solve the problem after problem which we created ourselves. But the right brain, because of its holistic nature, because right brain is not shy of seeing the complexity of life. Left brain completely is defied by the complexities of life. It doesn't even try to see the complete picture. But right brain says it's not a problem. Let's try to see the complexity of life by the holistic approach, by the intuitive approach, by the approach by which we can see the higher truths behind the reality. This left brain approach, actually I was not planning to speak about left brain. I don't know why I started speaking about this, but anyway, it's probably good starting to do this. I'll come to Dharma a little later. So, as we know, the modern science, the natural science, which is very dominant in our modern life, is based on mathematics. Mathematics is called the queen of all the sciences, or I don't know how it's called. It's the most powerful tool in science, because it creates the abstractions, and the whole left brain approach is basically to abstract things. When we see the complexity, it's very difficult to deal with the complexity. So let's abstract it so that we can deal with it. Mathematics gives the very useful models of how to deal with the reality, because it creates something very simple, and you can deal with it according to the laws of logic. The problem with this approach, which mathematicians themselves know very well, but they are usually shy to disclose it to the general public. The greatest logicians of the previous century, of the 20th century, Gödel, Austrian logician, he proved the famous theorem of his name, where he says that the logical system is either inconsistent or incomplete. This very important theorem basically says that by the means of mathematics, by the means of mathematical logic, by the means of abstraction, you will never be able to understand consistently the reality. It will never, your picture of reality, your understanding of reality will never be complete, or will never be consistent. The mathematical approach, by its very nature, by the very nature of this approach, and scientific approach as well, because the whole science is derived from the science of mathematics, will never be able to understand the complexity of life and will never be able to understand the completeness of life by its very nature, but human beings can. Artificial intelligence will never be able to understand the reality as it is, because it's artificial, because it's just working of some mathematical model, some completely stupid mathematical model, which is creating some sort of things. But the human beings, by their very nature, created by God in such a way that we are capable, with our natural intelligence and natural stupidity, which is also there, to understand, to intuit, to perceive the truth behind this world, and to see the complete picture of the world. And that's exactly the greatness of Vedic culture, the greatness of this culture of Bharata. The very word Bharata means those people who are, Bhar means light, from Bhasate, or Bhaskar. We know the sun is called Bhaskar. Bhasate, light. Bharata means those people who are attached to the light of knowledge. And these people, they know how to know the world, how to really understand the world, not in incomplete and in wholesome way as the modern people are knowing. They're very intelligent and wise people who knew how to approach the world, to understand the reality as it is, the reality in its completeness. And Dharma is the creation of such people. Dharma is the recipe, or is the prescription of how we live, how we should live, not to disturb the nature, not to disturb our nature, and not to disturb the nature around us. Therefore, the definition of Dharma, Gopal, he gave definition which is given by artificial intelligence. I will give the definition given by natural intelligence. And the most intelligent representative of humanity is Srila Vyasadeva. His definition is different from the definition of artificial intelligence. He says, Dharanat Dharma ityahu. Why Dharma is called Dharma? Because of Dharanat, because it gives you the ability to sustain, because it gives you the quality of sustain. It gives to your life the quality of sustainability. What is Dharma? Dharma dharayate prajah. By Dharma, the prajas, the human beings who live in the society, can live sustainable life. The life which is governed by Dharma is sustainable on all levels of existence. It's sustainable socially. The social structure of ancient Vedic India is amazingly stable. I remember, as Gopal said by introducing me, I was brought up in communist country, as well as all of you. But because Kerala is a communist country to a certain extent, but Soviet Union was much more communist than Kerala. It was very consistently communist, and therefore we all had to study Marx and Engels and Lenin, all these fathers of communism. And I remember studying Marx. Marx was a very intelligent person, believe it or not. and he was Jewish. That speaks something about him. So uh, uh, he invented his idea of how the humanity progresses, that there are exploiters and exploited, and how it goes. But then he was completely puzzled when he came to ancient India. He said, my theory works in Europe, but it doesn't work in India. Because there was no these revolutions, it was amazingly stable. In Europe, you can see there were slaves and, in Rome and Greece, and then there was somebody else, peasants, and then somebody else and somebody else. So he said it works very neatly and very beautifully in the history of Europe. It doesn't work in India. And he couldn't figure it out, but intelligent as he is, but we know why it was different, exactly because the social structure was designed by Vedic sages on the basis of the law of Dharma, and the basis, the Dharma makes society sustainable, very stable, without all these commotions, without all these agitations, without all these revolutions, without all these crazy hysterical shows which are called democratic elections. I cannot call it otherwise. I'm sorry. I may be bent here, but but it's just a show without much substance behind it. There was one lady, zoologist, and she was studying the chimpanzees in chimps in Africa. She was very interested how they live, and she lived, I think, 3 or 4 years with chimpanzees to understand their nature and culture and whatever it is. And she knew that chimpanzees, they have some sort of societies, and they work they live in packs, or in, how you call them, together, and they have the head of this pack of chimpanzees. So how you call, not pack, or herd, or whatever it is. And the leader of this, he's a privileged chimpanzee. And she has the best food and the best female chimpanzees and everything available to him. And he's usually, it's somebody who's very strong, but she witnessed herself how they elect. They have democratic elections of the chimpanzees, how they elect the new leader of the chimpanzees, and she was amazed to witness a particular election where the elected leader, the one who really won all his competitors, was the very clever chimpanzee who took the aluminum can, forgotten by some tourists in the jungles, and created a lot of noise with this can. Because he was the most noisiest, he was unanimously elected as, as the leader. So, the one who can make more noise, he becomes the leader. That's the absurd situation of what we have in reality. But that was a little deviation from my main talk about Dharma. The Dharma, the leaders of, or people of ancient India, they knew how to make the sustainable social structure, but not only. Society was amazingly stable. Families were very stable. Now we see it's basically almost finished even in India. It's still much more stable than in the West. But in the West, the biggest divorce rate is in America. It's just the highest divorce rate. Practically, when you register your marriage, you can already make an appointment for the divorce, because it takes some time. So you can safely apply for the next appointment in the same registration office. So it's not sustainable. The culture is not sustainable. The health is not sustainable in the modern world because of this approach, because people, they lost the conception of Dharma, which makes our health stable, our mental health very stable. Why such a high divorce rate? Because of the mental instability of people, because of too much stress, because of too much anxiety. And we can see it's rampant here in India, unfortunately, too. Modern life is so stressful. And basically, people are trying to find the recipes for mental health where? In ancient Vedic scriptures. All over, people are doing meditation and yoga. Why? Because it creates the stability in the mind. Because it gives you the stable understanding of reality and makes your life much less shaky than the modern approach to mental health or mental health. And, and people people think that antidepressant is the solution for the mental health problem. Now, millions and millions of people are taking antidepressants. In Russia, I heard that there is around 100 million people taking antidepressants. It basically means that they're crazy. And of course we know it's coming here. The antidepressants are so commonly used here. So on all levels, on the physical level, on the mental level, and on the social level, Dharma gives stability. By the definition, because the word Dharma, the very word Dharma, is coming from Sanskrit word Dri, and Dri means to sustain, to uphold, to hold, to maintain. So that's what Dharma is, and why, how, and what is the system, how this beautiful creation of Dharma is invented, because the people of ancient India, whose understanding was based on the ancient scriptures, on the Vedas and Bhagavad Gita, first and foremost on Mahabharata creations of Srila Vyasadeva, they knew that behind physical reality, behind subtle mental reality, behind social reality, there is a spiritual reality. And spiritual reality, which penetrates all these realities, the physical plane, the mental plane, the social plane, all this, they all derived, they all have roots in a spiritual reality. And roots are the most stable thing. So if we try to find the solution on these different levels, from these levels themselves, if we try to find the solution for the physical problems from the physical level, we'll never be able to find it. If we try to find the solution to social problems and social ills and diseases of society from the social point of view, we will never be able to do it. Because everything is rooted in the soul. Everything is rooted in the consciousness. The consciousness is the root cause of everything else. And the super consciousness is the root cause of our consciousness, of our individual consciousness. So that's the secret behind this concept of Dharma. How they figured it out? How did they really create the perfect social system, perfect medical system? The medical system, Ayurvedic medical system, I'm just coming from Ayurvedic clinic. The handbooks in the Ayurvedic colleges didn't change for 2,500 years. The handbooks in the modern medical colleges, how often they changed? Probably every 3 years or something like this. 2,500 years, the same handbooks, Charaka Samhita, Sushruta, and Ashtanga Hridaya, the same books which are studied thousands of years are studied now. And they're still relevant. Why? Because these truths are revealed to ancient sages of India from the understanding that the root of reality is spiritual. And therefore, the medical system, the social system, the mental techniques which they developed are extremely powerful. This meditation is extremely powerful technique. Through meditation, you can achieve so much. You can develop your intuition. You can basically guard yourself from mental derangement, from the degradation of your brain if you do regular meditation. You can foresee the future. You can understand how the workings of this world are doing this through the astrology. All these things are coming because people know that the root of reality is spiritual, that consciousness is fundamental, that consciousness is the background of reality. And you cannot understand the reality without understanding the consciousness. And the understanding the consciousness has to be the emphasis or the real subject matter of your studies. If you understand everything else, but you didn't understand the nature of consciousness, you didn't understand it. You have just fake knowledge. It's pseudo-knowledge. It's ignorance. This knowledge will just create disaster in the world. You will create, you know the nuclear, how the nuclear atomic energy, and you create the nuclear weapon by it. But if you know the background of reality, the root cause of reality, and if all the other studies are connected with the study of the consciousness, then all the discoveries which you will do through this will be very useful. And that's exactly the sciences which were developed in the India, in Bharata. The glorious Vedic culture, which is full of sciences, the amazing linguistics, the best language which is there, the best astrological system, the best cosmological systems. Now the cosmological systems which are suggested in the Puranas, they're really amazing, and they have such a strong predictive power. The modes of material nature, everything else, whatever you take, whatever area you take, if you take this from the point of view of consciousness, the nature of consciousness, understanding the nature of consciousness, independent consciousness which is behind this world, and dependent consciousness which we all know, which is our own consciousness. If we understand this from this perspective, then we understand what is Dharma. And then we understand what is the nature of the things. And then we will act on the basis of our Dharma. So I'm talking too much. You please tell me if you're bored with what I'm talking, and we can come to a question and answer session. But basically, as I said in the beginning, the foolish modern people, foolish us, are trying to improve the nature, but really wise people are trying to understand the nature and to act in accordance with this nature. And that's much more wise and much more intelligent approach to life. Before improving nature, let's understand the nature in a proper way. Because another translation of word dharma, as Srila Prabhupada explains in Bhagavad Gita, right there in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, his explanation of Bhagavad Gita and his commentary of Bhagavad Gita, he says dharma means nature. Dharma, sometimes dharma is translated as religion, sometimes dharma is translated as duty, sometimes dharma is translated in many strange ways. But if I understand that dharma is the essential duty, no, sorry, not duty, the essential nature of the thing. Srila Prabhupada gives the example, the essential nature of sugar to be sweet. So to study dharma, to understand dharma, is basically to understand the essential nature of things. And if I understand the essential nature of things, the essential nature of human being, who is human being? What is the essential nature of human being? If I understand the essential nature of human being, we understand the dharma of human being, and we understand what we're supposed to do being human beings. So the essential nature of human being is to know reality, and ultimately to know absolute truth, to know God. And that's the dharma of human being. And if we act in accordance with our dharma, we become happy. Because everything has its nature, and if the nature is violated, it never can be happy. If the nature is distorted, if the nature is disturbed, and if somebody is not acting in accordance with his or her nature or its nature, it will never bring satisfaction. And the ultimate dharma, savai pumsah paro dharmaya to bhakti ratoksa jaya haitanya pratihataya yatma suprasidati. The ultimate dharma of a human being, paradharma. As I said, there are dharma on the different levels because we have complex nature. We are social beings, we are physical beings, we are mental beings, and we are spiritual beings. So there are different dharmas on different levels. We have social duties. Every one of us has social duties. We have our family duties. It's also social duties, but our immediate society. We have physical duties towards our physical body. We have to do exercises. It's very important that it's said that without exercises, no medicine will help you. The most powerful modern English medicine. Sometimes I'm so amazed. You drive in Kerala and you see English medicines or English wines. It's two big achievements which are taken from superior civilization of West. Ridiculous. Anyway, so English wines and English medicines. No medicine will help you to restore or to maintain your health without exercise. That's the statement of Ayurveda. If you do exercise, you don't need medicine, and if you don't do exercise, you don't need medicines because you will anyway be not healthy. So that's the duty, that's the dharma of our body. Our body is designed to do physical work. And nowadays we don't do physical work. We just drive our cars and work in the computer. And we will never be able to maintain physical health. We will never be able to maintain mental health without understanding the nature of our mind, the emotional nature of our mind, the emotional needs which we all have. We need, by the nature, by design, we need to have close relationship with other people. And the modern society completely destroys this close relationship. People become so distant and lonely, especially in the Western society. I know this. And there is, as I said, there is dharma on all these levels. But ultimately, if we don't understand the spiritual dharma of the soul, we will never be able to fulfill all of the dharmas. So paradharma, the highest dharma, the dharma, the real dharma, which is the basis and the root and the foundation of all other dharmas, is the spiritual dharma of the soul, which is to serve the Supreme, to serve God, to understand Him, to do bhakti to Him. Savaipum sah parodharmoya to bhakti radoksha jay. You can only understand this unknown, unseen God and become totally satisfied within yourself. Yatma suprasidati, your atma, your soul will be completely satisfied only if you do bhakti to Him, if you love Him, if you serve Him, if you re-establish relationship with Him by hearing about Him, by chanting His names, by remembering about Him, and by doing all kinds of other activities. So that's the little presentation which I had. Actually, 1 hour. I explained a little bit, and it's hilarious because the intention of the subtitle of the talk was that we're living in the age of artificial intelligence, meaning ChatGPT and Siri and Alexa and whatnot, all this kind of artificial intelligence which are developed by computer scientists. But actually, it's a fact. We're living in the age of artificial intelligence in the literal sense of this word, because the intelligence by which we approach life, our intelligence, is very artificial. Our approach to life is created by artificial intelligence, not the real intelligence, because real intelligence, by intuition, tells us there is God. You are not complete on your own. You are not really, you will never be happy alone without God, without Him. So that's the natural intelligence, which tells us this. Anyone who has clear natural intelligence understands there is God. There cannot be otherwise. We feel He is there, His presence is felt by the natural intelligence. But because we're living in the age of artificial intelligence, we forget about Him. And it's not the problem of ChatGPT. It's the problem of our modern education, which creates and inserts the artificial intelligence within our minds, which has created this artificial intelligence, which seem to be very intelligent, seem to be very progressive, seem to be very bright, promising very bright future. Oh yeah, we will live. I remember we will live in communism, and everything will be free. You know, the rulers of Soviet Union, they pronounced this present generation of Soviet people will live in communism. Communism means you come to a shop and everything is free. You take whatever you like, and then you smile and go back home. And then, so it will never happen. It's an artificial idea which will never happen because it does not understand the nature of human being, doesn't understand the dharma of human being. And it's not the right idea, but the right idea are there. They are available. If I understand that we're a spiritual being and we have spiritual needs, and everything else is derived from the spiritual needs, then we can understand what is Dharma, and we can restore our natural intelligence. So thank you very much for your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Myself, I'm Dr. Shaiju Maharaj. Prabhuji.
It's okay, I can hear you. Perfectly well.
Prabhuji,
we don't need this artificial stuff.
Maharaj, I want to know the relation with dhyana, dharana, dharma. Can we escalate ourselves through proper dhyana and we can get a little bit of dharana, then we can reach into our real dharma. Is there any relations?
Yeah, definitely. So dharana is the first stage of, there is dharana and then dhyana. Dhyana means very deep meditation when you're completely immersed in the object of your meditation. Dhyana is the very powerful tool or the very powerful process, not tool, the process of knowing the reality. When you are absorb yourself with the object of your knowledge, with something which you're trying to understand, and you completely absorb yourself, and your absorption is so deep that you basically become like the object which you're trying to absorb. And you are knowing the thing which you are trying to understand, not from the external point of view, but from the internal point of view, because your mind accepted the form, the shape of the object which you are trying to understand. That's dhyana, but the first stage of dhyana is dharana. Dhyana is very deep meditation when your wife is when your mind, not wife, mind is unwavering. Your wife will be wavering. When your mind is completely fixed, 100% fixed on the object of your meditation, you cannot achieve this immediately. It needs a lot of training and a lot of practice and exercise. So dharana is the exercise to come to the stage of dhyana. Dharana means you try to hold. Dharana basically means holding. You try to hold the object upon which you are meditating in your mind, and your mind will be going here and there, but then you bring it back for some time at least. And then gradually you develop some muscles in your mind, the concentration muscles in your mind, and your meditation becomes deeper and deeper and deeper. But as I said, the purpose of meditation and dharana also to a certain extent, dharana is more like a practice. Meditation is more like already your goal. But the purpose of meditation is to understand something deeper. So you're right. To understand your dharma, the proper understanding of your dharma is through meditation. You can only understand your nature, your real nature, and peculiarities of this nature, or how this nature functioning through the meditation process. But you don't have to wait, luckily, for all of us, when we develop this very powerful ability to meditate. We can also know to a certain extent some general rules of Dharma from the books. But to get the knowledge, jnana, very deep knowledge of jnana, you need to master meditation. And then through this you understand Dharma. But studying the books, studying the scriptures is a sort of meditation. Because when you study scriptures, you meditate. You concentrate on this. You try to understand the deeper underlying meaning of it and the message behind this. So studying Bhagavad Gita is a meditation. It's therefore it's called svadhyaya. The studying scriptures in Sanskrit is called svadhyaya. It means you introspect yourself. You meditate deeply on your own self. By reading what the great sages have written, you understand more clearly your own nature. So that's the way, that's the accessible way and very democratic way of meditation.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I'm a doctor myself, and there are a lot of diseases that have increased. But modern medicine, there are a lot of surgeries are there. But in olden, I think we don't have something like that. So is that modern medicine is?
Yeah, definitely surgery. There were in Sushruta Samhita there are, but definitely the modern equipment with the surgeries, it's much more superior than the previous understanding. So there's, as I said, all these sciences which are created by left brain, they have their utility. They're useful. It would be completely backward and crazy to say that they're not useful. Because if I would be consistent, I would have to come here by foot, which would probably be very difficult for me. I came by the car. And that's the creation of modern science. And to be consistent, I have to admit that modern science has some achievements. But how to utilize these achievements of the modern science, we have to also activate our right brain. If the wholesome or holistic understanding created by our right brain is not really there, then we will misuse all the achievements of modern science, including surgery. There will be misuse of it and there will be problems. But if it is utilized and used with our active right brain, that what people they use surgeries, yes, that's good, but then sometimes it's better not to do surgery but to prepare oneself to inevitable death instead of prolonging the sufferings in a half vegetable state of being. That's the downside of the whole thing. So people are there trying to hold or to somehow or other to grab for this reality because they don't know the eternity of the soul. I'm eternal soul. There's nothing to fear. I have to prepare myself for the transition, which is inevitable. No modern science never will be able to make us eternal because we're not designed by this way. If God wanted us to become eternal, He would create us eternal. But He wants to remind us that our material existence is incomplete. So again, modern science is useful if it's used prudently, if it's used properly in the context of reality, with the understanding that the ultimate need is to realize us as the spiritual being, eternal spiritual being, with very strong need of love. So the need of the body is to have food and to breathe. The need of society is to maintain the social structure. The need of mind is to have close relationship, and the need of the soul is to have love to God. That's the nature of the soul, the inner nature. And We can feed our body, we can feed the society, the family, we can feed our mind, but if we don't feed the soul, we will be unhappy.
Correct, your lecture was very nice. I have two questions. How karma plays role in dharma? And the second question is how to activate our right brain to be more holistic.
Okay, very good questions. Very good questions. Brilliant questions. Actually, these two concepts, karma and dharma, are very intimately connected with each other. And dharma is the remedy for our karma. We're all coming with certain karma, with certain karmic luggage, so to speak, baggage, which we have. And this baggage of our karma will create problems unless we follow the law of dharma or the rules of dharma, because rules of dharma are balancing our karma. The rules of dharma, they are explaining to us, according to our karma, we developed particular nature, right? What is our nature? Our nature is developed by our karmic activities in the previous life. We were doing something and we developed certain svabhav, certain nature, and we received particular body. But then the law now, we come here and principles of dharma come and they say, if you have this nature, if you develop this nature, which is developed by karma, then you have to act in this and this and this way. And if you will act in this and this and this way, you will not aggravate your karma, but you will ultimately get free from your karma. So dharma is the prescription of how you should act according to your particular karma. Therefore, there is varna dharma, there is ashrama dharma, there is jati dharma, there is so many different dharmas, and they all particularize your karma. You have particular jati, you have male body. It means that you have to act as a male, not change your gender because you somehow or other somebody told you that you're not male. Not you're male. Just look in the mirror and it will become very clear who you are. So don't try to change it. Don't try to, but understand it. And according to this, in the scriptures, it is said what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do, and that will be the best way for your particular karma. This way of actions will really help you to fulfill your potential, which is there, and every one of us has a potential. And at the same time, while fulfilling potential, you will develop further or deeper understanding of reality. Now, regarding the second question,
Activating the right brain.
Yeah, activating the right brain. It's a very important question. To activate the right brain, studying mathematics will activate your left brain. Studying logic will activate your right brain, left brain. But studying the scriptures, studying music, or performing music, or reciting shlokas and poetries, or going to the nature, or meditating will activate your right brain. This is the different activities without which our life is not complete and not satisfying. You know, we as human beings need to sing songs. Like we were there in the clinic and the staff were playing some birthday songs in Malayalam. We couldn't understand anything, but it was very rhythmic. And the rhythm is actually the prerogative of the right brain to give you. Oh, here it is. So that's the activities which help people to be balanced. We need to develop our left brain, but we also need to develop our right brain. If we only overburden our left brain, we become stressed out. But right brain activities like music and dance, rhythm, poetry, and studying the scriptures, meditating, they balance this burden of the left brain and they relieve. It's actually in Russia there was one very great teacher. He was studying how the methodology of study for the children, and he found out very simple thing, which is obvious. If you change your activity from left brain to right brain on a regular basis, then the capacity of your left brain becomes much stronger. And if you overburden your left brain, like in the modern schools, only left brain, left brain, left brain, mathematics, physics, science, this, and your perception, your ability to assimilate knowledge becomes very bad. But if you do like, 30 minutes of left brain activity and 20 minutes or 15 minutes of singing and dancing, then you're refreshed again and your left brain is activated. So we have these two brains and they're actually helping each other to activate. So for activation of the right brain, there are a lot of different things, and we have to develop this. Doing art is another thing, like this traditional art, or doing this, how you call this when you have this rice, rangoli. Rangoli is very much right brain activity. And all the rituals, it's a beautiful thing which are necessary to develop us harmoniously. Chanting, of course, definitely. Chanting is the main.
So who is the superior, right brain or
Right brain, left brain is a good helper, and right brain is a good master. But if they exchange the roles, they become useless. Left brain is a bad master, and right brain is a very bad helper. So, therefore, title of this book is Master and His Emissary. So it's emissary. It's a manager. Left brain is a managerial brain. How to organize things, how to manage things, and to do everything properly. That's good. But if the goal is not established by the right brain, for what we're doing this? We may do everything perfectly, but what is the use? Because ultimately it will become very frustrating. You will achieve the goal but because the goal is not set right, in the right way, it will be very frustrating at the end of the day. And left brain cannot really give you the proper understanding of the goal which you have to achieve. It will give you some goals, but it's not real goals. These goals are not. So right brain is very necessary to chalk the general pathway of your life to where you want to come to achieve, how you want to develop. That's all prerogative of right brain. Yeah. Anyway, left brain is the attention of the left brain to the reality is that when you see the reality and you're attentive to the particular parts of reality which you want to exploit, but the right brain, you're not attentive to the parts, you're attentive to the whole, understanding that you are the part. Left brain sees the parts of reality and focuses on the parts. Right brain sees the whole reality, understands that you're the part. You're not the whole. That's the difference. And because when by reality we're not the whole, we're a part, that's more correct picture. That's the more proper picture of reality.
Just from what you said, with the right brain, we realize that we are part. And that will help us play our part.
Yes, that will help us play a part. And we realize that we are part, we will know which part we have to play. Because without realizing that we are part, we will try to imitate the whole, and it will be disaster for all other parts and for us as well. It's as if, there is an orchestra, and in orchestra there are so many different people and they're all playing their part. But let's imagine that, everyone thinks that his part is the main part and everyone else is useless. Then it will be total cacophony. Everyone will just try to, there will be no harmony. The harmony can only come if I understand that I'm a part and I'm playing my part, being the part. And we're all whole, and behind this there is God, who is the Purnat, Purnam, what is this? Purnam, Purnat, Udachyate, Purnasya, Purnamanaya, Purnameva. Om Purnamadah, Purnamadam, Purnamachyate. Behind this there is this Purnam.
One question about gender orientation of these brains. Is it true that male usually have left brain and female right brain?
No, it's not true.
So opposite.
It's not true. This is what he starts. He's a very good scientist, this Ian McGilchrist, and he says there is popular science, which is usually, which is not. It's not a science. It's just pop science, which is science from the internet. And this idea that females are right brain oriented and males are left brain oriented is a popular science. And he said that actually his scientific guide, he strongly advised him not to take this topic, this subject for his research, because he said that no serious scientist will take it seriously because of this popular science. This left brain and right brain is so grossly misrepresented in a popular opinion that serious scientists just laugh about this. Still, nevertheless, he said, yes, I discovered a lot of things, and it's a very real science, what he says, but it's different from the popular science. It's not like this, that female and male. It's much more complex than this. There's very, very left brain oriented females, and there's a lot of right brain oriented males. Sometimes they do transgender transitions.
The real dharma is to understand the purpose of life.
Yes, to understand the real nature of our consciousness. Because artificial intelligence, it's not intelligence, there's no consciousness there. There's nobody who understands this. You may talk with this chat GPT or whatever, and you may even have illusion that somebody else is understanding. Forget it. Nobody else. It's just linguistic models which are being produced, linguistic formulas. No meaning behind this. No meaning. Consciousness is the conscious living entity which understands the meaning. And therefore, we want to understand the meaning and ultimately to understand the meaning of life. Without understanding the meaning of life, we will never be, the quest to knowledge will never be satisfied. But artificial intelligence, there is no meaning there. It's no meaning. It's just mechanistic rubbish, which looks very good. And, it's useful because most of the intellectual work which we produce are anyway rubbish. So artificial intelligence can as well produce this rubbish, no problem. But it will never produce anything really good. It will just. Because there is a Kaddish, it's better if somebody else, because I'm a little exhausted. No, that's
Singing. Or playing, you know. Again. This is harmonium from the center. So, no, I tried before, but it's not working. Maybe it's working, maybe I never tried wrong there.
okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Oh, it's not. No, you sound it. It's yours.